Hello, welcome to Atheist Torah Study. My name is Emma, and today we're going to be doing Parsha Tsav. Um, so Atheist Torah Study is an informal exploration of the Torah from the perspective of an atheist. That's what I am. I'm an atheist. And what we're doing is we're going through the 54 Parsha cycle of the Torah. Um, it's a book we read 54 parts of it over the course of an entire year. Jews do. We read it once a year. Um, and most Jews, we read it in thirds. So we'll read a third of each part every week. And then the next year, we'll read the second third. So a typical Parsha is about, oh, I don't know, 7 or 8 thousand words, I think. Maybe not quite that long. So, but Jews really like to kind of get into the text really well. I mean, they like to get into the Hebrew, and we like to get into the meaning of the text too. So, just taking a third of a portion is a lot. Even that a lot of times when I go to Torah studies, we don't really get to it. Anyways, I'm an atheist. I've been an atheist since I was about 18. Um, I joined a synagogue about 10 years ago because I wanted to explore my Jewish heritage that my grandmother, may she rest in peace, told me we had. So, my grandmother, who recently passed away, told me that we had Jewish heritage. So, I didn't know much about it. I did a little bit of research on ancestry.com. But I was curious, and I took classes in I took classes in college with Rabbi Bernard Raskus at McAllister, and I really enjoyed studying Judaism then, but I didn't really know that much about it. I got involved in Jewish Voice for Peace about 20 years ago, maybe 25 years ago when I lived in Tennessee. So, but I never really studied Judaism. I mean, my sister studied the Holocaust in college, and as an activist, I've done a lot of organizing, and uh, but I really didn't understand Judaism, so I thought I should study Judaism with a rabbi. So I joined a synagogue, and I really liked it. I mean, I like Judaism a lot. Um, I really like my rabbis. I have two rabbis now, not just one. And I love studying the text. I mean, it's very interesting. Um, I am an atheist. Sometimes they get tired of me talking about it, but it's true. I'm an atheist. And so now I'm going to read some of the text and comment on it and try to make sense of it from my perspective. So let's just get started. This is Parshat Tsav. Parshat Tsav is Parshat Tsav is the second parsha in the book of Leviticus. Leviticus is a very different book. It's it's I mean, it starts off really different because it's all about sacrificing animals, and it just goes on and on about the different ways you can sacrifice an animal and what you make a sacrifice for. Um, you'll have to excuse me, I have a cold, so I'm gonna blow my nose a little, sorry. Um, anyways, why don't I just read the text and I will talk about it after I read some of it. I think what I'll do is I'll read one offering at a time and then we'll talk about it. God spoke to Moses. This is Parshat Tzav. It's Leviticus chapter 6, verse 1. God spoke to Moses, saying, Command Aaron and his sons thus. This is the ritual of the burnt offering. The burnt offering itself shall remain where it is burnt upon the altar all night until morning, while the fire on the altar is kept going on it. The priest shall dress in his linen raiment, with linen breeches next to his body, and he shall take up the ashes to which the fire has reduced the burnt offering on the altar, and place them beside the altar. He shall then take off his vestments and put on other vestments, and carry the ashes outside the camp to a pure place. The fire on the altar shall be kept burning, not to go out. Every morning the priest shall feed wood into it, lay out the burnt offering on it, and turn it into smoke, the fat parts of the offering of well-being. A perpetual fire shall be kept burning on the altar, not to go out. So that's the very first one. So what are they talking about? It's like, I mean, when I try to think about this part, what I think about is like, here's, sorry, sorry, I have a cold. So I can't shake this cold. It won't go away. I've had it for like 3 weeks. Um, so here's here's Tsav, and here's the characters. There's God, there's Moses, and there's a pile of ashes. So those are the three main characters in the beginning of Tsav. And so, oh yeah, no, and there's the high priest too. So it's somebody's role. They have to burn something all night, and then in the morning there's a big pile of ashes. So that's basically what this is saying. There's a big pile of ashes, and then for some reason it's not pure and it has to go someplace where it's pure. So that's what we have to work with in this text. It's it's not I what did I when I was studying for the Parsha this week, I heard one person call these the flyover Parshas. It's like the stuff people really try to avoid if they can. I mean, so yeah, I mean, it makes me think about a lot of things though, for sure. Like if you've ever been around a big fire that people try to keep going, I mean, how powerful it is to be around that fire. And if you think about the ashes, um, when you have a fire, then you have to put out the ashes. It's funny because I was just looking at the weather before I started this Taurus study tonight, and my sister was telling me it's going to be another dry summer in the Pacific Northwest. We've had a lot of dry summers. It's climate change. Climate change is happening right now. And because of climate change, the risks every summer for wildfire are just getting more and more to the point where it just every year it's the same set of risks. And I live in Portland, so I remember the year of the Eagle Creek fire. And that was a really scary fire. It started, I remember it really well because I was there when it started. I was in the Columbia Gorge. I was at Rooster Rock Park, and I saw the fire break out down the gorge. And it was a really serious fire. It caused a lot of damage, and it was very threatening to Portland. And that very same summer, there was another fire that broke out that was up in Clackamas County. And that fire almost caused us in our town to have to evacuate because there was a risk of everything burning down. There's been a lot of fires on the West Coast. There was a really bad fire in Los Angeles last year. I remember the really bad fire that happened up near Redding, California a couple of years ago. Um, it's just like every year there's just getting to be worse and worse fires. And I remember the really bad fire that happened in Australia about 4 years ago that they think may have taken out as many as 1 billion animals. So the earth is warming and it's changing, and we're not making it any better. I mean, we're making the earth just worse. Every year we're making it worse. And we're just feeding, we're feeding corporations. It's weird because right now, as I'm recording this, I mean the government is going to war over oil, which is increasing the price of oil. And it's kind of ironic because the further up that the price of oil gets, the less driving people would do, and the less fossil fuels people would burn around the world. And that would actually be better for the planet on the whole. But, I mean, we have a future that's going towards fire. So, so that's one in on this. But, you know, I mean, from a really big picture view as an atheist, this is this book was written by somebody, in my opinion, this was written during the Hasmonean kingdom, and it was written by people who were religious heads of state and wanted to centralize their power. And this book is kind of, I don't know, it's like a book where they get to kind of show off their own power a little bit. I mean, in the story's kind of fallen apart by here. This is like we're in the part of the story where it's like it's that dream that doesn't make any sense, and you wake up the next morning and you're like, why did I dream about a tomato inside of a minivan where I went off the edge of a cliff and I fell into a black hole? You're just like, it's the dream that doesn't make any sense. And it's like that's kind of where we are right now, this book. I mean, the book has really lost connection in terms of some sort of narrative time. What it's supposed to be, at least how you're supposed to imagine it, is that uh, this is Moses and he's in the desert and they've built this Mishkan, and now these are like the rules for how to do the Mishkan. So, you'd think that there'd be a lot of other things people would be thinking about while they're stuck out in the desert, and maybe the authors would want to write about some of those things, like, how should women raise their children? Or what kind of an education should you provide your family? Or what kind of, skills is this new society going to develop in this mythical land? But no, this is really focused on this ritual system of sacrifice. And it was written, it's hard for me to really feel, I mean, sometimes when I'm studying Torah, I feel a really deep, almost what's that word called? Almost a synesthetic experience with the Torah. Like, so I've had a couple of weird experiences studying Torah. One time I was studying Torah and I felt as if, oh, hang on just a minute, my sister's coming. Oh, hey sis, I'm recording the video. Anyways, so I was studying Torah and I felt as if um I felt as if I was in uh in a tomb, and there was Sarah's body for the matriarch Sarah in in the on a you know being prepared for burial. And it was a weird experience. Another time when it just recently when I was studying Torah, um, it felt as if the text, I mean, I felt so I felt like I had such a good handle on the text that it felt like somebody was poking through my screen, like with their finger. So like it felt like there was a finger. Now, of course, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in anything. These are like these are imaginary experiences that I have, which are ways that my brain tries to creatively create space to sort of understand the text, and kind of focus around some of the central themes of the text. I mean, like in the Torah, when I was talking about Sarah a while ago, Sarah is really central to the story in Genesis, the story of Sarah. And the story, I mean, part of what you have to understand, I understand this intuitively from having spent so much time studying Torah in a synagogue and being around and having a really good teacher. I mean, a lot of it's that I've had a really good Torah teacher. That's my rabbi. And so she's really given me a great education in Torah. I mean, just a really great education, a really great foundation for understanding this, for wrestling with this text. But I mean, you have to understand that for Jews, you kind of have to understand how Jews have experienced the world and how they so I mean, how does a minority, a group that's a minority for literally thousands of years develop strategies for survival? And how does the text itself help to inform some of those strategies for survival? You know, so like this text that we're reading right now is written at a time when life isn't so bad for Jews. It's written at a time when um, there's been some victories and there's been some land that's been secured for a time. Um, but the real world in which this text was written was a world in which, for most of the time, there was there were empires that were seeking to control the land and to control the people. And the text reflects something that speaks profoundly to everyone who wants a certain kind of freedom. I mean, the text itself draws out a will to survive, and it draws out a sense of identity that's not a sense of identity that is colonized. So the text itself is a form of colonial resistance. Part of what makes it, I think, in some ways different from Christianity that way is that Christianity represents a certain kind of compromise. I mean, Christianity is the text, but it's been colonized. I mean, the text has been colonized by the Roman Empire. And by the time the Roman Empire really fills itself with the text, it seems like the leadership in the Roman Empire is looking for a new narrative to hold it together. I mean, for about 7 centuries, Rome was on an ascendant path. Well, for several centuries, Rome was on an ascendant path, and as a colonizer. And then it reached a period of profound stagnation for about 3 centuries before it was, kind of destroyed by the Visigoths. And before Rome fell, it was looking for a narrative. And so, Christianity is like kind of a colonization of the narrative. And the Torah is about resisting colonization. I mean, there's something fundamental in the Torah about asserting autonomy and asserting self-identity. And it's not obvious in the text itself. I mean, it's not like you just read that and that's the first thing you read. I mean, what you're reading in the text is you're reading this story about this relationship between this mythical God, this God who doesn't really exist, but does exist in the imagination of the writer, and then this mythical hero. And so, in that way, it's just another kind of mythology, but it's a very different kind of mythology. I mean, this is not a Greek, this is not Greek mythology. This is not like any other mythology. This is very, very different. It's, and I mean, I mean, all the good ideas I've gotten in Torah, all the good ideas I've either gotten from my rabbi, or I've gotten from Richard Friedman, or I've gotten them from Yonatan Adler. Those are like the three people who have really influenced me in terms of my own understanding of the Torah. And they all have kind of different takes. I mean, my rabbi is a mystic, and but she's also a scholar. She's, an exceptional scholar, and she's a mystic. And Richard Friedman is, what is Richard Friedman? I think he's a professor. Well, I know he's a professor, and I think, well, actually, I don't really know exactly what he teaches. All I know is he's written a bunch of great books on the Torah that have really influenced me. And then now the latest thing I discovered, my latest crush, Torah crush, is Yonatan Adler, who wrote The Origins of Judaism and Between Yahwism and Judaism. And Yonatan Adler just like blew my mind. I mean, I heard him talk once for an hour on a YouTube video on the Torah, and he blew my mind. And I haven't quite recovered from that 1 hour of listening to him talk. So, anyways, these are the people who are really influencing me right now. Okay, well, let's get back to the text. So what's going on here in the text? Let's see. This is the very first offering. This is, you have, the burnt offering. The fire has to stay on all night. So the idea of a fire that is perpetual is, I mean, this is all technology that's practiced all around the Levant. This is Bronze Age ritual. So it's not that the ritual itself is unique. I mean, this is another ritual. And this is how people at the time understand their relationship to the moment. But I will say that, so there's a couple of really interesting things I discovered this week when I was studying this text. There was, I mean, a couple of sciencey things. So one of the things that I thought was really interesting about this was that, there's this kind of intuitive understanding here that nothing really is transformed. So there's a recognition of entropy, and there's also a recognition that when you are transforming a substance, like you're not really making it disappear. And there's something about that that speaks to how you do things. So, I mean, it kind of tells you that like anything that you try in life, it doesn't matter what you do, this is like a head thing, it's the Torah is full of a lot of um these spaces that kind of make you think about just your day-to-day life. And, as an atheist, I can appreciate that. So it's this is a certain kind of a metaphor, this particular ritual, because I mean, to me, the ritual says that even, I mean, I think that in some ways we kind of imagine that like once we do something and it's done, then it's gone, like it's disappeared, whatever it is in life. Get married, get divorced, buy a house, sell a house, have a kid, watch the kid grow up and go away, get a pet, stay with the pet till it passes over the rainbow bridge, join an organization, leave an organization. I mean, there's a cycle to how we do things, and we think that once we've kind of been through something, then it's gone. But there's kind of this stickiness to like human existence that maybe a better way to look at this is to take a really, to take a really a broad view. I mean, a really broad view and look at like a really big topic like racism or war or I don't know, nationalism. I mean, these are things I think about right now. Or well, global warming is a great one. I mean, that's because this is all about fire. It's like, I mean, we live in the industrial age and we have cars. I mean, everything around us is cars. There's cars everywhere. There's machines, and all of these things rely on oil. And we've known, you know, almost ever since the beginning that oil was being manufactured, that this was a really reckless decision. The atmosphere is not infinite. Even if you think that all water runs into the ocean and the ocean is never full, that's not true. I mean, we live on a planet and there's a limited amount of space in our planet for anything. And we have these tailpipes on our machines and they put out this invisible gas and it's warming our planet and everybody's doing it. I mean, everybody's in on it. And it's so dangerous. It's just so, so incredibly dangerous. We're basically destroying our future. And this ritual is kind of a reminder of that. I mean, this ritual is a reminder that, you may think that you got rid of the problem, but you never really get rid of the problem. It just changes into something else. And I mean, for Jews, it's important to learn this lesson too, because it's like, I mean, there was a time when there wasn't, for instance, when there weren't Christians, Jews still had to deal with oppression. I mean, you know, Jews had to deal with, but Christianity comes ready-made for teaching Europeans and Americans, to hate Jews because it's right there in the text. And so, Jews have spent all of this time, like 2,000 years, in these Western civilizations where they're surrounded by people who have a narrative that came from their narrative, and then it got turned around against them. That's what the narrative did. And it's it's ridiculous. I mean, the whole, I mean, for me, I guess for me as a big atheist, for me, and not as a big atheist, for me as an atheist, the big takeaway of what this is really making me think about is just how ridiculous the whole thing is. It's like there's this religious nationalist text that was created to fit within the context of a certain moment. And within that moment, it was trying to create a new kind of religious nationalism, something that was very comprehensive and it was really well thought out. It was so well thought out that somebody else decided that they wanted to copy it, but they wanted to change it. And so they changed it to say, and they changed it into something pagan, and then they blamed the people who practiced the first text for things that they put in their pagan text. They wanted to create, like in their pagan text, they created something that blamed these people. And so, and then that text caught on and multiplied because texts are like a virus. I mean, religion is like a virus too. And so now we're looking at like the last 2,300 years of history has been these different religious texts that have risen up, and you can't really get rid of them. I mean, there's nothing in this text that tells you how to get rid of the Christians. There's just nothing in there that tells you how to do it because you can't. I mean, this this text it's kind of been a victim of its own success. It was a very well written, very, I mean, it's not well written, but it was a well thought out idea about how to do an entire society based on religious nationalism with a strong identification toward this deity and toward this group, the priestly class. And so and so somebody else decided that they wanted to tweak that. But then it's kind of like they wanted to tweak it, but then they wanted to like tweak it just enough to like discredit the people who thought of it before them. So I mean, that's evolutionary. That's an evolutionary strategy that unfortunately has been misplaced within a body of literature. And I think that we find that throughout the text. I mean, we find a lot of examples where there's at least some acknowledgement and understanding of how evolution works. Even though these people obviously didn't have any knowledge or understanding of what evolution was, this is not a science text. Um, but they had an intuition, they had an instinctive feeling for how the universe works. And the instinctive, intuitive understanding of how the universe works um, fits in the text really well. And in some ways, this really is how the universe works. I mean, you spend all night burning something and you think you've gotten rid of it, but you didn't get rid of it at all. You have this big pile of nasty ashes. And then when you try to get rid of those, you know, you can't really quite get rid of all of it. I mean, you bring it someplace and you think you got rid of it, but now you're dirty. And so this is about how to deal with that. Okay, let's just read some more because it just has all these different offerings in it. This whole thing is offerings, and then later on in the text, there's a couple of other things, but it's mostly just these different offerings. So the first offering, this was like a really big offering, and it's the burnt offering. So it's a really big offering, and it goes on all night. And oh, another thing I thought about when I was studying for this week is that this is kind of a way of acknowledging the now. I mean, there's something about this moment now that has always really mattered to us as a species, and as a society. I mean, it's true we have all of these recordings now and we can sort of look back at the past and we can imagine a time, from a few decades ago and how maybe that's shaping this moment right now. But we don't really understand, the 600 and 6,000 generations that came before us. I mean, all of those generations were in the now too. And it seems to me that part of what this is talking about, this idea of you keep something burning all night and you keep the flame going the whole time, is it's this way of acknowledging that there's this moment now and that it doesn't really ever go away. I mean, it's the central theme, the central concern of human existence. And it's because even though we have these amazing four-dimensional brains that can like imagine space and time, and I think we feel like there's such a firm foundation in our Western world, our Western sense of development and Western identity. It's like it feels so firm and foundational that like it seems like between having, this Western government, whatever that is, and the kind of economic system that we live in, and we have these religions that go back hundreds and thousands of years, that we're kind of ready to go. Like we know what the world is, and we know what the future is. Like we have a good framework for developing the planet and for having world peace and for solving all of our problems. We have this firm foundation because we have rights and we have progress. But, the truth is that we don't know what we're doing. This process is really out of control. It's super, super out of control. And a big part of why it's out of control is because for most of human existence, we haven't been addressing the real needs of people. I mean, we've been creating these societies that serve and cater to the interests of a privileged few. And those privileged few really have been driving the narrative of human existence ever since these kind of rituals and ever since these religions were invented. And the truth is that most people are kind of treated like garbage. Most people are sort of like trash, and they're just something to be used by a system. No, Judaism doesn't really teach that, and I don't believe that anyways, whether I was Jewish or not. I mean, I think that every person is like a miracle. I mean, a miracle is maybe not the best word. I think every person is like a universe. That's a good word. Every person is like a universe, and they're just like this. Like today I was driving and I live in Portland and I saw Mount Hood and it was so beautiful. It was all lit up from behind with the sun. It's just completely covered in snow right now. It's so gorgeous. It was just like reflecting light. It was just this radiant white color. And it looked like a glowing diamond. I mean, that's what I was thinking of. I thought, oh, this looked like a glowing diamond. It's just like this. It's so beautiful. There's just nothing like it. And, that's kind of what people are too. I mean, people are just like, every person is like a universe. I mean, it's just an entire universe. It's like every person is unique and every person is just has this incredible infinite potential within them. And I mean, regardless of the text here, and the text doesn't say that about people anyways. This text says the people are sinful. Well, it doesn't just say that. This text says a lot of things. I mean, it it's concerned with the theme of sin, especially in Deuteronomy. Oh boy. We'll get to that later. But yeah, Deuteronomy is really obsessed with sin. And it's like I don't, I mean, I think that we should be thinking everybody's this incredible enlightened being, and what can we learn from each other? Anyways, and all that just from the first offering. I haven't even gotten to anything else yet. Let's read some more. Okay. This is the ritual of the grain offering. Aaron's sons shall present it before God in front of the altar. A handful of choice flour and oil of the grain offering shall be taken from it, with all the frankincense that is on the grain offering, and this token portion shall be turned into smoke on the altar as a pleasing odor to God. What is left of it shall be eaten by Aaron and his sons. It shall be eaten as unleavened cakes in the sacred precinct. They shall eat in the enclosure of the tent of meeting. It shall not be baked with leaven. I have given it as their portion from my offerings by fire. It is most holy, like the purgation offering and the reparation offering. Only the males among Aaron's descendants may eat of it, as their due for all time throughout the ages. From God's offering by fire, anything that touches these shall become holy. So there you go. So that's the text. So what does it mean? What does it mean? There's some little buzzy words here that are like making my little buzzy brain go buzz, buzz, buzz. And one of those is I mean, this idea of something holy. So that's that's a good one. It's I mean I think I know what it means in Judaism. I mean, but what I'm trying to think about is what does it mean in atheism? In Judaism it means something's elevated. It's like it's special. It's the special child. It's a special thing. It's something that's elevated and it's considered holy, kadosh. But what does that mean? What does it really mean that it's holy? What does it mean? What is it? What were these people thinking? I mean, I think what they're thinking is that they believe in God and that they think that God is holy. They think, well, I mean, because that's the God says that, you shall be holy. I can't remember where that is in the Torah. It's a little further down. It's like, you shall be holy because I am holy. It's like that's what the Torah says later, but it's like, what does it mean that the God is holy? I mean, does it mean that the God is good? Because I mean, I don't know if it's such a good God. This is a God that kills a lot of people, and you know, regardless of whether you're a Christian or a Jew or a Muslim, all of your gods kill a lot of people, so it's like, is that good? I don't know. I guess if you think it's good, I don't know. I don't think that's very good. I don't think that's a very good God, you know. But I mean, if you think it's good, then I guess that makes it holy. I don't know. This is really good. I think we're going to be stuck here for the rest of this Torah study. I mean, what does it mean to be holy? You know, Here, okay, so I'm going to look this. I rarely do this, but I am going to do some computer stuff while we're doing this. Okay, so I'm going to ask, what does holy mean? And let's see what it says. Holy is, in the Torah, the word for holy is kadosh. Okay, I already said that. Um, Set apart, separate, designated for a special purpose. Okay, yeah. So I already said all that. I'm just seeing if there's anything else here. Something is holy because it's separated from ordinary use, assigned a specific role in the ritual system. Priests are set apart from everybody else. The altar is not just a table, but a designated ritual object. Time, Shabbat, is separated from normal time. So, what does holy mean? Holy, calling something holy creates boundaries between this and that, justifies rules and restrictions, and protects power structures. Who gets access? Who's excluded? What happens if you cross the line? Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of that right now. Like, what makes you holy in America, you know, in this evil country that is kidnapping people from airports and in front of schools and kidnapping children. This evil, evil country, where we're taking children We're sending them to detention centers. We're making them freeze, not giving them enough food. Children, we're doing this to children, you know, we're separating them. So there's a couple of ways you could look at that. On the one hand, you could say, so the people who are doing it think that they're holy because they're taking a certain group of people and they're excluding them. But I think that what Jews do, this is, I think, something that Jews do, and this is definitely something that I do. I would say that the people who are being excluded are the ones that are holy. Those are actually the holy people. And that's in the Torah, and that's in the Christian Bible. You know, the holiness is with, it's not with the power. The holiness is not with the power. Capitalism isn't holy, you know. Domination isn't holy. Warfare isn't holy. Greed isn't holy, you know. What's holy is, so as an atheist, I think what's holy is awareness, intellectual freedom, autonomy, self-identification, and thinking for yourself. I mean, I think that religious people have a lot of fun thinking too. I think religious people have as much fun thinking as atheists do. I mean, there's a lot of there's a lot of like positive feedback that your brain gives you for doing creative thinking and creative problem solving. And there's a lot of creative thinking and there's a lot of creative problem solving in a religious text. And it occupies people's intellect and it occupies their sense of identity. And if you've been brainwashed, sorry, that's the word I used, if you've been indoctrinated into a system from the time that you're really little, then you get this positive feedback from the information that the system is giving you as an adult. I mean, you get really positive feedback. Language does this, television does it. Almost all of our ordinary experiences in life are experiences that we've been trained for. And we've gotten a lot of positive feedback to know what we're supposed to do in a certain situation. So religious people get a lot of positive feedback from their own experience of studying Torah that makes them feel really good. But atheists get the same thing too. Atheists get a lot of really positive feedback from doing a lot of the same things. I mean, we spend a lot of time thinking about these things. I mean, I think the only difference there's not a lot of difference really when you come down to it between, like, say, an atheist and somebody who at least asks questions about their religion or their tradition and they're trying to understand it. Like, the difference between those two people, between an atheist and somebody who's really trying to understand their religious tradition, is not that great. I mean, it's not a big difference. They're both doing kind of the same thing, and they're using a lot of the same tools, and they're getting a lot of the same positive reinforcements. I think the part of what religious people get, this is the holy thing too. I think the part of what religious people get is they get this really wonderful sense of feedback from participating in a ritualized system that explains the world to them and gives a meaning to uh, things that are kind of beyond their control, like what happens to you after you die, but even more so, just like in the moment. See, what they're feeding here in this text is they're feeding the now. That's what the high priest is doing. He's feeding the now, this moment. And there isn't really a way to capture it, this moment. There's something that is the net result of everyone in a nation state or in a society or in a city, like just being active and doing things. There's this net kind of process, it's all very transactional. I mean, I'm not saying anything here is magic, but you know, there's something that happens when you have a large enough gathering of people and they're doing something. They're living their lives day to day in a city. They're going, they're all practicing the same religion, or they're all involved in the same kind of culture. And my thoughts are starting to peter out. So I know that I had some really good thoughts there and they were going someplace, and now I think I just lost the thread. Okay, well, let's read just a little bit more. I've got about 5 minutes left. Um, let's see. Okay. God spoke to Moses, saying, "This is the offering that Aaron and his sons shall offer to God on the occasion of his anointment. A tenth of an ephah of choice flour as a regular grain offering, half of it in the morning and half of it in the evening, shall be prepared with oil on a griddle." This sounds pretty good. It sounds like they're making pancakes. Well, not pancakes, but anyways, you shall leaven cakes. You shall bring it well soaked and offer it as a grain offering of baked slices, pleasing odor to God. And so shall the priest, anointed from among his sons to succeed him, prepare it. It is God's a law for all time to be turned entirely into smoke. So too every grain offering of a priest shall be a whole offering. It shall not be eaten. So you wonder why would somebody preserve this text? Why preserve this and then read it over and over again for thousands of years? I mean, you could have preserved anything. This could be you could have preserved instructions on how to yoke a horse, or how to dig a hole, or I don't know, do some Roman thing, how to build a bathhouse or something. This is the thing that they wrote down. But this is what was important to the people who were the redactors of Torah at that time. And after uh, Israel was destroyed, then the text took a different kind of meaning. I mean, I wonder if the text itself would have been preserved with so much loving attention to detail, and if it would have been so foundational to the development of Western society if it hadn't been a text that was forced into exile. So the fact that it became an exilic text, the fact that and I think that's, a big part of what gave it its meaning, because it was a text that eventually became associated with resistance to colonialism and to how a society can try to eke out its own unique identity, and also how that particular society feels a really special and close connection with their God. So, anyways, that's what I see in the text today. That's what I see in the Parsha. There's a bunch more sacrifices, and of course, none of these are practiced today, and it's really hard to understand why everybody's doing this, but this is what people were doing in the second and third century BC, and probably would have gone on for a while still, if it hadn't been destroyed. So there's some historicity here too. I'm going to just ask well, no, I'm not quite. I don't really have time. I think I'm just going to go ahead and stop because I don't want to go over an hour. You've been listening to Atheist Torah Study. My name is Emma. Here in the West, during this year that I'm recording this, it's about to be Pesach, which is Passover, and it's a time when Jews get together and they have seders sometimes and they celebrate. So if you are having a seder, then I wish you a Hag Sameach. Uh, have a good Passover, and I'll see you next week.